Okay, hello everyone. I think I got everything all synced up. 1 second. Okay, hopefully everything's all good. Alright, I have my mics right next to each other, so we'll see how this turns out. I've been having some problems with my recordings lately, both my mics and my devices. Um, so yeah, I've been having a lot of problems with just a lot lately. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. My last episode I recorded, episode 5 of this season, actually, I recorded the entire thing, and I wasn't paying attention, and there was a message that popped up that said, error with recording. And what happened was, for the first time ever, I desynced my audio with my video. And so, when I did that, there was an error. And because I desynced them, I couldn't just, re-upload audio on top of the already made video of the episode. It was like, oh man. So I actually don't know how I'm going to handle the recording of that last episode. And because the audio was messed up, it's going to be in very bad quality. The recording was very bad quality. All right, previews are over. Cat and mouse. The season's pretty good so far. Hey, boss. As soon as Blessing opened up the door, the way he looks, it's like you just know she passed. Man. What a way to start an episode, Dexter's getting better with how he responds to these things. I like when he says that I'll rearrange my plans. It sounded like he actually genuinely does care. But I don't know, because I actually had a discussion watching the last episode of this show. I actually had a discussion with some people, with my buddies, and also looking at some things on like the wiki and everything, and reading the descriptions about about this episode summaries. What I've read and discussions I've had, Dexter seems to do things, in such a complex way. And over times I'm like, oh, Dexter's getting better here. Dexter's gotten better. And then I actually read the summary. They're like, oh no, Dexter was just pretending. Dexter wasn't really. It was like, what? And so it's like, man, discussions I've had. Some people have said Dexter's not really a kind, emotional person. He's just, pretending still. And it's like, as an audience member, it's like hard to take these emotionally deep scenes seriously anymore, after reading what I've read and having discussions with other fans, and they make good points that sometimes Dexter doesn't actually care, or anyway. And that's okay. So I love how they played Hannah's theme song in the background as they talk about her. This scene right here, it was amazing actually how they started this episode off, because for a moment it felt like the old Dexters. It felt like what made Dexter great in like season 3 and 4. And it felt like it came back temporarily. It came back in the scene when Dexter calls Harrison, and we get that homey family type, everyday normal life type vibe that we had with like Rita's character and what she had to offer. We got it back when Dexter calls Harrison. I'm pretty sure that was on purpose for the writers and for the I'm pretty sure the directors and the writers and people behind the scenes did that on purpose to really show what Harrison means to Dexter. Yeah, what these characters mean to each other, and what we've been missing for so long is back. In the scene. What I wanted to say about that scene with the ties. It was this beautiful scene that was also a reference to season 3, episode 12, or I guess 36. I don't know. But anyway, when Dexter was getting married and Dexter was in the mirror and he had to do his tie, and Rita or Deb was like, "Remember how Dad showed you how to do it?" And then I believe Dexter or Harry came back as a ghost and was like, "Oh, your mother would be so proud." I believe that's what he said. So when Dexter says it to Harrison, it was like beautiful reminiscence of the wedding that Dexter had with Rita, and I love the triangulation, the points of the end of season 3 of Dexter starting a new life, and you really get that energy back in this scene with Harrison, and we also get it back with Prudence passing, and this scene, this moment is like a celebration of new beginnings, new life, new renewals, just that step through that veil or that threshold into something new and loving and just evolutionary in the cycle of life and and, and I like how Dexter says, "I'll expect there to be a lot of sadness." And yeah, there usually is, but now this family, they really do symbolize what it means to be healthy, to have a healthy foundation. And Dexter's not used to that. So when Dexter says expect there to be a lot of sadness, and he opens up the door and everyone's celebrating and everyone's happy, it's like, whoa, what? It's like, yeah, these people were about life. It was about life and happiness, and a lot of sometimes for some people, happiness and joy is not an effort; it's a lifestyle. So a lot of times it takes people energy to try and fathom, oh, happiness and joy and friendship and blah, blah, blah. So like sometimes it takes people energy to get into that space. And for other people, it's just neutral to them. So it actually gives them more energy. It's how they operate. So when they see happiness and joy, it's like, oh, I feel recharged. Where other people have to put in effort and they just feel drained because they feel like they have to be forced to care. So this family is very well, balanced in that, they have healthy foundations. Dexter's always learning new things, new territory. Chike, I love that. Chike shows the scar also. It says, turns out ladies like the scar, so he found positivity in that. When something bad happens to us or we're inflicted by something terrible, we can always choose to see the better in it, you know. Be like, oh, you have a flaw, you have a thing that's different. Yeah, modern day medicine also works. What else what did I want to say? Oh, I love that scene that has Harry, Dexter, and Harrison in the mirror. That was a great scene also. I wanted to comment on that. I love how I think it was important to have Harrison here in the light of Dexter's heart, not just the dark of the basement of Dexter's heart, but here when it shows this family, you know, it's good to have, Dexter's light there. Oh, are they interracial? I didn't even notice. I don't even know if they are or not. You know what's weird? I think that Joy's fiance or husband. I don't even know if they're different races or not, which is weird because sometimes not to get off the topic of the episode, but sometimes I don't notice people's races. Time for cats. When I had my grandma's funeral, we had a barbecue afterward. We didn't plan to, but my nephews were consistent. They were persistent about it. And he bugged my uncle so much. He's just like, oh, you know what? Forget it. F it. If you guys know where I live. If you bring meat, I'll throw it on the grill. And so we all ended up going to my uncle's house after the funeral. And it was, we all had a good time. We all laughed. We all had so much good food. We played games. It was like we forgot why we were all together, but it was just beautiful. We all laughed together, and we, watching this funeral scene, I actually, for the first time, I actually cried. Legitimate tears, actually. I fully felt it. This was like I don't know, but it felt. Um, but yeah, I actually cried up until the point where Dexter gets his phone call, and then yeah, I love how Dexter says, he goes up there and really gonna miss, when he sees the food, and he's like, I'm really gonna miss her food, and everyone laughs, and it's like, oh wow, and just that little bit of of that space they gave him, he shared how she touched his heart and in what way. And in what way, and that's how you grieve. That's what you do. It's. Yeah, this is sad. Watching him try to. And when Dexter's phone rings, I'm thinking like, oh come on Dexter, go to your homie, go to your boy, he needs you. But then Dexter goes and gets the phone call instead. Yeah, Rick. Yeah, Dexter. When you gonna be back? Never. I love how Peter Dinklage acted in the scene. Simply because when he's in the phone and Dexter's saying, "You guys found my address. You found my job." It's like you see a moment of weakness with Leon's character, with Prater's character, and it's like, what was that? What was that weakness? What was that for? Why'd you do that? But yeah, this show really does give a lot of space and room for actors to do their thing, to really have that creative space. And it's very organic, because I know for like certain visions, when directors have certain visions and things like that, it's like, they want to do it, and they have a vivid, clear vision, and the actors get involved, and the actors don't see the vision of the director, and sometimes the actors want to change things. It's like, oh man, but and then sometimes but here it feels very organic. that sorry, that the actors have space to really like insert, certain elements of realism into their characters. I apologize. I don't know who the artist is in the background right here. I think she's a college student. I think so. I could be completely wrong, but I tried finding her artwork. I tried finding her. I emailed assistant direct, the assistant art director of the show. I went down a deep rabbit hole, but I ended up messaging. Hopefully, I can get a response. But um, I tried to find out who the artist was when right here in the scene that just passed when Harrison got the pamphlet for school. Um, it would be cool to see Harrison go to college, and then we can get Dexter back. Because Dexter hasn't been Dexter since season 2, and then season 3 he had Miguel, and then season 4, he had to worry about adjusting to having a baby and Rita being pregnant. And season 4 came, and he had the family, and then Lumen, and then by season 6, Jamie was there to kind of watch Harrison, so we did have Dexter back for season 6 a bit. But then after that, Dexter always had someone. So it was like, Dexter hasn't been that lone wolf character for a minute. So, if Harrison does go to school, go to college, it's like, okay, cool. Harrison can go to college. Dexter can just be Dexter for a while. We can get that old Dexter back. But then you risk, fans of the show being like, oh, it was better when Harrison wasn't there. Anyway, I don't want to put that in people's heads, though. This character isn't even that bad looking. It's the way he says, women don't really approach me that much. He's alright. Just, his lips are a bit, the contrast of his lips and his face are very, very different. But other than that, that doesn't mean that this guy's, ugly looking or bad looking. It's just something different that you don't see too often. Just the contrast. And this is interesting when you see these two cops going back and forth. I love this dude. This guy is really like trying to make this logical as possible. And I like how she's more emotional in this moment than he's more logical. But then right here, the way he gets up and talks to her really shows that he's on her side. He's on his partner's side. And this right here just threw everything off. This episode threw everything off. I thought maybe Batista was gonna be like, oh, Dexter did a good thing by getting a killer off the street. But no, this first scene that we see Batista in, he just threw it all out there. He's like, nope. that completely throws my theory out the window of Batista's gonna see the good that Dexter does and maybe let him go. But I like that though. I like that because I don't I don't like Dexter getting off so easily. reading some comments on was it Reddit or something during my whole rabbit hole thing, and I love the comments that were like, Batista has no chill, had no chill in this episode. But yeah, this really does give the audience permission to um sorry, I went brain dead. I completely forgot what I was saying. Oh, well, it really does give the audience permission. When you see how much Batista throws out there, it's like, whoa, okay. It really does give audience permission to be taken by the story instead of, you know, oh, it would be cool if this happened or that happened, or what if this, sometimes it's cool to have permission to be all like, this story can take you places that you never thought, you could be taken to. And that really, really makes a compelling story. The way that this detective is talking, I have a feeling that he might be the New York Ripper. At first, I didn't pay anyone attention, especially all the fan theories and the blogs, all the stuff about the New York Ripper. I wasn't paying attention to it simply because the New York Ripper was a real serial killer. So when I looked him up and I saw the New York Ripper's a real serial killer, but they just got the wrong person, and I started seeing all these fan theories online, and I was just like, this was a real killer. Why is everyone making all these fan theories, about a real serial killer? And then when I looked it up on the wiki has different information versus the real New York Ripper serial killer. So I was like, okay, so in this show, it might be a different person then. It might be a whole different thing. So, hmm. Sorry, I was getting into the episode. Right, so, what, as I say in every recording, my different mics, one of my uploads is just going to be pure audio, just my voice. The other audio is going to be on a studio mic, different mic, and it is actually hard recorded with the what I'm watching. So it's like some people are going to be hearing just my voice. Others are going to be hearing the recording with the episode, dialogue of the episode in the background. Because of copyright and all that stuff, I can't do both. Can't. So I have to create separate audios. My phone keeps lighting up. That means I will check on all that later. I don't want to mess anything up. I love that. I love that. He opens up the box and this dude just runs straight for the money. Well, the actor here is a comedian, from what I understand, and he's really good at improvising. So a lot of what he does, a lot of what he says is improv, and he does a lot of improv to create additional comedy for his scenes, and he does a lot of ad-libbing, and they trust him to do the ad-libbing, from what I understand. So, you know, It's just, yeah, when he does stuff like that, he just knows how to be funny, but also allow the scene to keep going and be what it needs to be. So that's what I mean by these actors can really add in so many of their own personal layers into the character, and still just bring real personality to the show. So during my, I don't know who this character is that Charlie just paid off, but during my, I haven't uploaded a recording for a couple of weeks now. I haven't done my recording for episode 4 for many reasons, a couple of reasons. I wasn't going to, and man, these videos are pretty disturbing. But it was multiple reasons why. Um, and reason why I haven't done episode 4. And so one of the reasons was because when they showed the vault and they showed all the trophies, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many trophies here. I had to go frame by frame by frame to find each of the props and find out who each prop belonged to, the name of the serial killer, and find information on them. And it was like, it was a nightmare. Luckily, I found a museum, a replica, that was made of the. Right here, you see these two books. I think it was Undecided or something, and the other one was Sacrifice. Both of those books were written by Clyde Phillips. There's a 4-book series, and I believe the one that you see here, Sacrifice, is the 3rd book of the 4-book series. And I cannot remember, the other book that you see is the 2nd book of the series. So the 1st and the 4th, I don't think they're actually shown. But yeah, Clyde Phillips, the producer of the show, is those were his books that he has written. They are true crime storybooks. So it's pretty cool that he added himself into the show. A nice Easter egg for the fans. But yeah, when I went to the rabbit hole of the museum, I had to find out what serial killer belonged to who and all this stuff, and it just took weeks and weeks of research, and it's like, but then I found a replica, and the replica was of the museum, and that helped me a lot. Apparently, there are 65, from what I understand, 65 trophies in there, 65 different serial killers. What wasn't mentioned in the episode 4 is that John the Revelator sword from season 6 of Dexter is in there. Boston Strangler. I want to say the Boston Stranglers trophy was in there as well. My mistake for not my mistake for that. Right. That ticket, if you actually look at that ticket, it is for, I believe, Tuesday or Thursday of March. Was it 11th or 16th? Either way, if you look at the date of that ticket, the date is the same as it takes place in 2022. So there was another thing that showcases that this season takes place in the year 2022. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so yeah, Estefania. Is that her name, Estefania? Man, that black mold is rough. That's Yeah, that's rough. Sorry, I know I'm quiet. Um, Sorry. I will talk soon. I am trying to find um the Boston Strangler. I'm trying to see if I can find out what his trophy was. I'm going through my notes right now. Damn, that the Bayou Strangler. There's a lot of stranglers. Wow. But no, it doesn't look like the Boston Strangler's trophy is in the vault. At least not that I see. Here's the Grim Sleeper. Oh well. I do apologize. I had the feeling that someone was watching Dexter right here. I just had the feeling. And when Dexter opens up his door, and then, he brings the bags of ice in, I'm just like, Dexter, why'd you leave your door open? Why'd you do that? Oh. And Dexter brings the ice. Yeah, so right here, I was like, Dexter, someone's in your apartment. Don't be silly. Yeah. I do have to say, I read somewhere, some people were like, oh, season 5 was just filler, just a filler episode. I'm like, no, we got to know Lady Death. All of these characters have their own personalities and challenges that they offer Dexter in some way. And I think it's important to get to know these characters because then you really get to know the challenge that Dexter is having with it before him. This character Gareth, it was nice getting to know him. I did read some comments online. Some people were like, "Is the show too constipated? Is it too crowded? It seems like there's too many characters in this season to where there's not enough time or whatever to properly deal with all these characters." And it's like, nah, I think the show's doing perfect in what it's doing. The pace is good. The pace is perfect. Sometimes having too much is better than not having enough if you know what you're doing. And as we're getting to know these characters even more, it's adding new layers to what the show is about. It's not like Jordan Chase and his goons, his group. Hmm. Yeah, I love that whole dynamic of oof, almost cracked my headphones. Wow, that would have been awful. Anyway, the whole father and son thing, and Dexter sees that in Gareth, and he's like, nah. I love this whole game that they're playing back and forth. I wonder what a crazy person would think at the same time of, you know, sorry, went brain dead again. Wow. I need to stop eating so much sugar is what I need to do. But anyway, I mentioned the whole adversary thing because when we get Gareth, you see Gareth and he seems like he's just kind of there. He's not really big, you know, a big deal. He's just kind of there, and Dexter's like, oh yeah, Dexter's got this dude. This dude doesn't know who he's messing with, and I think Dexter sees that in this character, but I think us as fans also see it. And see right here when he switches the glasses. I think Dexter was proud of himself for that one. I know Dexter did that spin around thing before. I want to say that was in season 6 when he was getting Travis, or not Travis, the football player. Yeah, I say Travis, and I'm just like Jock. That's always got to be rough. Having to help a kid out, having to help someone out. Oh, with breathing. This book, this comic book that Harrison is reading, it was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue number 50 by IDW, I believe, was the name of the publishing company, IDW. And that was the issue number 50, in case anyone wants to know. I don't remember. I think Shredder sent like Shinobi or something. Can't remember exactly, but he sent some cool ninjas, and of course they got beat up. When this scene happened, I'm not gonna lie, I had mixed feelings about this scene when the landlord comes to the door. Which it's hard for me to properly address this scene for multiple reasons. But when I watched this scene for the first time, you got like right here, and Harrison's like yelling at this dude. It's like you would think Harrison is Deb's kid. Honestly, you would think so. Like not being blood related. Oh, there's a lot of Deb inside of Harrison's character. Right before that scene, when with the fork, I actually saw a tiny black shadow move across the floor of my kitchen, and I like shoved my hand in my bowl of cereal by accident, and I got up. I was like, "What the heck?" And I think it was a mouse. I've been having problems with mice lately. I think we've got like three of them, but now we got another one. And I was like, ugh. So it was in the middle of the day, and the mouse just like ran at me right as I was watching that scene. So all I heard was, "Mom, my eye! Will you stab me in my eye? What'd you do that for?" And I was just like, "Dang it!" But my other mixed emotions on that scene was I was like, I don't think I can view the show the same anymore if Harrison goes through with this because it goes against what I think I know about the show in such a way that doesn't feel challenging, but feels more to the point where I feel betrayed or lied to on what the show is trying to get to and what the show is about. And I felt like, as a hardcore fan, a part of me was going to lose a sense of intimacy with the show if Harrison was to actually did actually go through with killing the landlord the way he did, you know. So I'm glad that that didn't happen, and I do want to have hope for Harrison. Yeah, and as Dexter kills, gets this dude and kills this dude, I was like, okay, not a lot of plastic, not a lot of, we're just kind of just going for it, huh? Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, right here when Dexter gets Gareth, it was kind of like, okay, yeah, that dude is out the way. He wasn't gonna pose a challenge. He wasn't gonna pose a threat. He was kind of smart, and it was like, how is Dexter gonna get this dude? But then you get him, and he got him, and it was like, okay, cool, making his way through the list. This scene when Blessing's talking with Dexter, everyone has their own level of darkness, you know. He says she was my North Star. North Star is that star that guides our destiny, guides our reason for even existing. It guides our destiny. It guides why we are alive, basically, you know, um, things like that. Uh, yeah, this story was beautiful, and the thing about this is sometimes it takes darkness to help connect darkness, and sometimes all darkness is an inability to connect or a denial of connection, So sometimes just having connection can be healing, can heal dark in itself. And I say that because, being in such a good, happy family environment, Blessing couldn't fully say what he wanted to, he couldn't really go in depth, and he was in a dark place, and sometimes those that are happy, they're happy, and they can't connect with darkness. They can't connect with pain. I know so many people who have had healthy, happy friends, and one friend would be kind of negative or dark, and his happy friends would be like, you know what, you're a bit too much. You're toxic, or you're too much. We just can't handle your negativity. Get out of here. And this one. But we all have our pain inside. We all have that. We all have that inside, And sometimes it's nice to have someone who's dark also and can connect. Yeah. How can you survive without your strength, guidance? bring the darkness into my home. That's very important. It's very, very important. As someone who's been through that, there's darkness that exists in all of us, and sometimes we can't bring it home. My mom did the best she could, but sometimes she did the best she could to keep darkness of her job away. But there was other layers that came through. Alright, Dexter, just play it cool. I hope I haven't scared you. You're a good and gentle person, Dexter. Oh, it's good to have that kind of a friend. To just be like, in a dark space, I got you. I'll listen to you. I like how Dexter has a group, a family of, oh, it's a beautiful shot. That was beautiful. I wonder if it's winter or fall when they film this, because I guess the natural lighting, I don't know, is amazing. But I love how Dexter has this family to help teach him the rights and the wrongs. And he's able to take the rights and be who he needs to be for his son. Because, we can always look up to people. We always look up to somebody and say, you have an answer that I need. You always have the answer that I need. There's so much about you that, you help me out, and I know that I can come to you for certain things. And, it seems like when we look up to some people, it feels like they have the answers. And, sometimes people look up to us like we have the answers. And sometimes it's, we have to go through a journey to find those answers ourselves. But it doesn't necessarily need to be focused on for either party, for either group. And I love that Dexter tells Harrison, you know, um, I love that. He says, I'm not like Deb, I'm not an F up. And that was something that she said a lot. And I forgot what season it was. I want to say it was season 3 or 4 when she says, I'm an F up because I'm not like Dad. And Dexter's like, you're not an F up. There was some interesting advice Dexter gave Harrison. But yeah, I'm glad that Dexter, he's doing his best. Surprise, the surprise. Bring your trophies. Lady Vengeance. wonder who comes up with these names. They do a great job. Stay here. I'm not staying here. I wonder what that was like on the script to write that. Stay here, the next line. I'm not staying here. Well, sorry. Well, when you are writing, it's very different when you're writing a script or you're writing dialogue. And then after you're writing the dialogue for so much, it's different than when you're watching and you get to see the transition. So I don't know how they're gonna handle that with Mia, simply because I don't know if she really did die. I don't know if they really did kill her off. This is a huge game changer, but I don't know if Leon is a fan. I don't know. Going on the whirly bird. I don't know if beautiful filming location. Water is amazing. I don't know if they are gonna bring her back from the dead, if it was fake. But then again, I don't know if they can do that twice by just resurrecting characters like that. Was unfortunate. N38HF. I wonder if there's an Easter egg behind that. It is, anyway, but I don't know if Mia's actually really dead or not, but we'll see. And then, when this car stops and you see Gareth is like, whoa, what? And you see this dude come back, it's like, oh, snap. Yeah, it's a huge twist right here. So I love that each of these characters had their moment to shine. So even though Dexter did what he did, it's like the character came back, and it's like, oh snap, were both the characters together? Was one hiding outside, and he saw what happened? Does he know? Oh yeah, so many questions. Is Lady Vengeance really dead? I don't know. I want to say she's not, but I also don't think the show is gonna take that risk of resurrecting two killers from the dead. Pretty sure she'll come back. But apparently the helicopter, the N38HF, it's a New York helicopter. That's all I can find on it. Yeah, great episode. But yeah, this episode really did kind of take a couple of theories that I had about the show and about Mia and Batista, and just got rid of them. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this, and yeah, you guys have a great night. Time to do episode 4 now.